All right, so this is Genetic Technologies, which trades on the Nasdaq as Gen, and they they're in Australia, and so they're putting in a patent for their COVID-19 severity risk test, with the Australian Patent Office. And this is it's both a gene test and clinical information test. So they do an assessment to see how at risk you are if you were to come in contact with the COVID-19 virus. And so this is an interesting another stock to take a look at here on the COVID-19 playlist. And let's go see what's going on with the trading. So it's GENE stock, and you can see it's a pretty volatile long-term bear market kind of stock chart here, which has kind of continued that thing. It stays pretty volatile, and these prices are the result of some reverse splits. So here I'm on the daily candles, and so going back to 2016, you can see the chart, and then here when it started to get low, this is a 1 to 5 reverse split and 1 to 4, so not super aggressive reverse splits, but trying to keep it up out of the kind of penny stock range. All right, so here on the hourly candles, you can see the previous low before the whole crisis came, and then here this is Feb 20, kind of halfway down. So it was doing some crazy volatile stuff before the crash, but this is the crash here, and then the rebound is not super strong, but it is pretty consistent where you can throw a pretty basic trend line under there, leading into this crazy news blast that we just got. All right, now I'm in on 15-minute candles a little closer, and so we can take a look at this thing and see what we're getting. So this is a pretty cool thing that it didn't get a huge blast on the pre-market trading. This has all happened during trading today, and it's jumped, from around 2 to around 7. So this is pretty crazy. These type of news blasts, generally more than half the time will reverse back down to near where they took off from, a little bit above. We do have this uptrend support line leading into this blast, so that's good. And then on the trading today, I guess the thing to see is if this thing does reverse back down here, or if we get one of those flag patterns, whoops, that extends over a longer period. So on some of these news blasts, we'll get like a little flag out on the first day, and usually that will go up and then take a little bit longer to come down, and it will have a little higher target. So I guess just on today's trading, like these news blast peaks is usually a spot to short if you're doing like some quick day trading, and more often than not they'll come settle down. This is not investment advice, but they'll come reverse down into an area like this, like 3 probably on this stock, a little bit above 3 maybe. But if it does flag out, then it can take a couple of days, and it will still usually kind of reverse down, but a little bit higher target. And this is a newer COVID stock that doesn't have any kind of crazy parabolic stuff leading up to this. And so this could be a good spot to see if we get a higher angled trend line that we can trade off of from here out. So, if it reverses down, into this area and picks up support here, then it can be a really interesting stock that might trade on a higher kind of bubbly trend line for a while. And so these kind of biotech stocks have been super bubbly, and they'll get a pretty reliable trend line, a lot of them. And so that's kind of the thing to look out for on trading this thing. That's probably this peak is a good thing to short, and then when it settles back down here and picks up support, that should be a good day trading, or not day trading, like a swing trading kind of spot to enter, and just make sure that it holds support, and then it can keep bouncing, and you can keep trading it or holding it for a while, but just kind of trail the stop pretty tight behind these things because when they break the bubble trend line, or when you get the news that whatever they're working on isn't going to be good, or they fail some kind of approval or whatever. I mean, they're filing a patent here, so they could get rejected for the patent or something like that. But you want to be aware that this is sort of trading a lottery ticket, sort of a bubble trend line, and it could dump pretty hard at any time. So it's risky, and that's just kind of a look at this one. This one could get interesting, and it has not collapsed yet, and this has happened during day trading, so it wouldn't surprise me to see this one kind of flag out a little bit, and that's a historically pretty high price. It's higher than these previous peaks that we had back here before the crash. So yeah, this one could be interesting, and yeah, we'll have to kind of see where this one settles out and if it can pick up a trend line right now. But in general, these news blast parabolic things come back down fast. They usually do. And well, it's like halfway through the day here, so I don't know. This one could be a little bit different. So yeah, that's Ginny. I'm gonna throw this on the Ginny. This is Genetic Technologies that I'm gonna throw on the COVID playlist, so you can check out a bunch of these different stocks. Let me check out mRNA first. Actually, I heard something was going on with them. Oh, okay. Oh, interesting. Yeah, so mRNA has been on a. Let me get out a little farther. They've been on a pretty good, like crazy, trend line, and it broke down underneath, which looked super dangerous. But this is the kind of trend lines I'm talking about. When you get a news blast, and then it starts picking up a higher trend line. So this is the kind of thing to look out for on the genetic technology stocks, and then they can be pretty good. But then when it breaks down off the trend line, that can get really dangerous. And so I think they were talking about some phase 3 trial information here, but the trend line now is questionable for this one, for mRNA. And so this is getting a little more complicated to trade here. But this whole zone, I mean, this was a wild one this whole time until it broke down under the trend line. It was really, really good for day trading and swing trading this whole time. And this is still one of the leading candidates for the vaccine here. And yeah, if it picks this trend line back up, it'll be pretty interesting. But anyway, that's mRNA. But that's a good example of how a lot of these kind of biotech stocks have been trading. And then on the S&P today, we got a little drama happening. Yeah, so it came up and tested. Well, this previous peak back here was right along this level. Oh, I got in a little too tight on it. So you can see where this previous peak was here, like 228 area, and now it has come up and broken it twice, and come back down a bit. So let's get in a little closer. So it's sort of the bottom of this area. Has gone up a bit, and it's trading relative to this really hot kind of zone here around the previous peak. And so this is getting a ton of action. And right now it's kind of back right in the middle of it. So yeah, this was the action coming into the trading, and then it did a quick reversal out of there on the opening trading today. So this is why it's looking kind of like a wick on the longer term chart, but you get the when you can see the overnight trading, it looks less insane. It looks like it's kind of sort of a more stable area. So And you got something like this on the last time it reversed down, that kind of jump that gets rejected as soon as it tried to get above the island top. And then here again, we've kind of popped down, but it hasn't crashed yet. And so, like, if this does a bullish run above the island top, people are going to start getting super bullish on this, and I think that's pretty likely to happen. Because I mean, we've had a couple of setups that looked like they were going to start getting bearish, and it's failed. It failed to break down twice here. So I mean, to get bearish, it needs to break down below here, below like 3125, somewhere through here, and it could do that. But right now, it looks like it is. It looks like it has some bullish momentum, and it looks like it wants to try to get above this island top. So this is what's happening now. This is a really complicated trading zone, just because we're in between some, we're kind of sandwiched in between the island top resistance and support levels here, and then we have a really strong 2-year bull market support line that we're underneath, that we rejected off of once already. And so this is my big kind of target up here for where the bulls will start getting super bullish and excited. And this is a big bearish kind of reversal target that we reversed off of last time, this trend line. So like, this is kind of the drama target for me, is to break above that island top, get up here to this, this trend line that nobody's really talking about, and it'll be above the island top. People will be saying all-time highs, and it's a pretty dangerous area. But if it can get above here, that would be super bullish. I think this is a huge bearish reversal point that I've been looking at since down here. I've been kind of eyeing this as the dramatic thing, the big kind of double tap on the bottom side of the long-term trend line that would set up a pretty big bearish move. And so I think, if it gets here, this is a drama spot that can sort of divide a bull or a bear market like on its own. If you can break through here and get out of here, that'll go like out to bull market territory. And if you get a big rejection off of here, it could send the whole market. It could send the whole market down into more of a bearish. Well, it needs to get all the way down below this trend line to actually get into bear market territory. But I think you could get a huge reversal off of here. And so as of now, let's see what the DXY is doing. We don't have any new liquidity numbers. There hasn't been a ton of Fed liquidity going on. Yeah, the dollar has been trying to break down, which is interesting. And we'll see if it does. But generally, the dollar breaking down has been good for the stock market. And so we'll see. I mean, we're right around very long-term support here on the dollar. Like, this is a 10-year support line. And so I think probably it's not going to break down a whole lot farther than that right now. That's just a major area. And then, how's the bond spread doing? Yeah, still pretty average. Okay. So the bonds haven't broken down yet. So as far as sort of the inflation kind of indicators and things like that, it hasn't moved a whole lot. And the VIX has been an interesting one. Whoa. Right now, just because we're getting the VIX trending up. The VIX is trending up, but the stock market is also kind of going up at the same time. And so that's kind of a dangerous thing. I pointed out a couple of times here. So just as far as the fundamentals, we're still high volatility and we're low liquidity as far as the Fed balance sheet is still coming down. But the momentum in the trading in the market has not looked super bearish. I mean, it's just been, tracking kind of sideways and now maybe a little bit up over this period where we had very little liquidity. And we'll get to see some more liquidity numbers next week and make sure that it's still low. But I think it's probably the liquidity is not going to not going to increase much until there's some kind of squeeze or some kind of drop in the market. And yeah, as I was saying before, if this thing breaks out solidly above this island top, people are going to start getting super bullish. But there's a major long-term trend line here to get through that I don't think most people are looking for. And yeah, for now, this is just kind of the double top sort of area where, from a technical perspective, this could be a reversal point to watch out for. And then this is not so much a technical setup. This is a bubble model with the long-term kind of bubble support lines that you can see if I zoom out a bit here. And this is the one that comes off the 2018 crash here. And so this is the kind of the bubble model that I've been working from for the last couple of months to see if this crash is starting a longer term bear market or not. And right now it's just kind of in between, but this is a big reversal point to see if it breaks that or not. Like if it breaks out here, that would kind of invalidate this model, and it would point to, you know, a zone out here along the higher kind of wide volatility range that we've been in for a while. So this is a crazy volatile swinging market, and I think most people have really just recently started talking about it being a crazy market on this crash, but it really has been doing this for a couple of years. I mean, this high volatility swinging movements have been happening for a while. This is the Volmageddon swing, and then the end of the 2018 crash here, and then obviously this huge rip for the Roni Rona rip here, which I keep saying is less to do with the virus and more to do with just the international liquidity squeeze that was coming on anyway. The virus was just like right at the same time. But yeah, anyway, that's the market here. And this is a tough spot to set up some trades because we're sandwiched between a bunch of support and resistance zones where it can do some weird stuff. And it has been doing pretty weird stuff here for the past couple of days. But yeah, it does have a chance here to actually break above this island top today with a real move. And so that'll be interesting to see if it can do that, or if it gets, you know, rejected back out of here like it did last time. But nothing about this really sets up a good technical trade in either direction. This is just kind of crazy land, and I'll be interested to see what happens. It's pretty cool. Pretty cool to see what's going on and try to figure out what's actually driving the market, with the liquidity being so much lower than it was before, and just the mix of indicators. And it's kind of, you know, just the kind of the macro scenarios that you hear from the people that say like the dollar's going to collapse right now, or we're going to get maybe into a deflationary scenario that people don't expect or something like that. Because as of right now, like none of those things have started really happening yet. But there's just this crazy amount of money that has been printed. It has to result in something happening, right? Probably, but we haven't really seen it yet, and it should start happening pretty soon. And the market could take off pretty sharply in upward or a downward direction. You know, if you get into a kind of a hyperinflationary, it doesn't have to be that dramatic, but just like a high inflation environment where you see the bonds trading up, like the market could be trading up really aggressively, or if you get all the other countries out printing the US dollar and commodities are diving, and there's another liquidity squeeze, it can really drive it down again. And we'll see how the government's kind of reacting to that, and the Fed. Yeah, so that's the look on this. And I'll see if there's any other earnings coming out. I keep trying to look for earnings, and I keep finding coronavirus stocks, but that's all right. This is good to get some more of those stocks into this playlist, because they are going to be fun to trade still for the rest of the year. And so this is not investment advice, and happy trading.